From stretching their screens for more FOV to discovering secretly overpowered pickaxes, Fortnite pros were always finding ways to get ahead. Here are 8 things they used to do back in the day. Starting off, we have the infamous colorblind mode, originally designed as an accessibility feature but quickly became the go-to trick for competitive players. By enabling settings like Deuteranope on the strength number 10, players could make the storm more transparent, practically allowing them to see straight through it. If you weren't using a colorblind setting back then, you were at a serious disadvantage. I myself even remember testing out different colorblind modes, comparing them all to find out which gave the biggest edge. These days, you can still tweak colorblind settings to improve storm visibility, but it's nowhere near as strong as it used to be in the early days. Another meta-defining strategy pros used was stretch resolution, a tweak that altered the game's settings to increase the field of view. By adjusting literally 2 settings in the game user settings file, players could widen their FOV both horizontally and vertically. Back then, the most popular resolutions was 1080 by 1080, 1440 by 1080, and 1280 by 1080. These stretched resolutions made the game feel incredible. Visibility improved dramatically, FPS felt smoother, and hitting shots on opponents felt like it became easier. My personal favorite one, like many others, was 1080 by 1080. This one in particular felt like having an FOV slider in the game, as not only could you see your feet, but you could see everything happening around you with just unparalleled awareness. However, Epic Games did have significant issues with the use of stretched resolutions. In their opinion, it made the game look very visually unappealing, which was a massive problem for broadcasted events like the upcoming World Cup, but more importantly, it gave PC players an unfair advantage, as players on other platforms could not replicate the tweak. Eventually, from those reasons right there, Epic Games did decide to lock the aspect ratio, reducing the FOV and ending the stretched resolution meta like it once was. These days, if you do still use a stretched resolution, which a lot of players still do, you'll find that it only stretches your horizontal, which does sadly decrease your FOV, but it does still feature some advantages, as the player models themselves do look a lot bigger, and the FPS boost is still pretty good with that reduced pixel count. It's just nowhere near as good as it used to be. Stretched res though wasn't the only thing that was giving pros a competitive advantage. You'd find that even cosmetics did too. One of the most notorious examples was the superhero skin, a cosmetic that turned out to be far more than just a cool looking outfit. When it was first released, players discovered that they could manipulate the colours in the edit styles to blend into their surroundings by simply setting the primary and secondary colours to be one colour. The most popular choices was the all black, where they would combine 2 of the black colours. This would result in a skin being completely black, where it was very difficult to see them in certain areas. Environments where there was little light in and there was lots of shadows, the skin itself would be pretty much invisible. Players then took it to a next level of trying out a variety of different colours. They would use colours like grey to blend into rocks and other environments, green to blend into things like grass and bushes, to even blue to blend into stuff like water. It got to a point where it became so popular they actually had to stop selling the skin in the item shop, until they pushed out a fix that prevented the player from having a fully monochrome colour scheme, making it so the primary and secondary colour could no longer be the same one colour. These days you have to have a slightly different shade. Now, while those changes did make the superhero skins not as strong, they still, even to this day, do still blend in, especially the grey one. I think that is still just as strong as it used to be from back in the day. Even last season, I found myself using it a lot, as you could really blend into the rocky environments, and at night it just felt like the skin was just way harder to hit, but that could be just because it is a slimmer skin and that's what most people do prefer. But that cosmetic advantage wasn't just limited to skins. Pickaxes also found their way into the meta with some of the most groundbreaking exploits we've ever seen. Take the Star Wand pickaxe for example. This seemingly harmless cosmetic was secretly dealing way more damage than it should. It once dealt a massive 56 damage per hit and even had a headshot multiplier. Whenever you'd have a one-on-one pickaxe battle from spawn, the outcome was almost always guaranteed. The player with the Star Wand always came out on top. Then there was the Codeaxe pickaxe, which introduced one of the most bizarre glitches in the history of the game. When you had this one equipped, it would actually grant a speed boost that was significantly faster to the default or any other pickaxe in the game. I remember back then I investigated it, and it turned out that the speed advantage wasn't the only thing. It also had an extended swing range range as well. So if you were one of the lucky ones to own the Codax, for a short period of time, you not only had a speed advantage while swinging, but you also had extended range. So this was another pickaxe where you would win any pickaxe fight. Oh, and another really overpowered pickaxe I do remember was the riot baton. This had a very strange bug where if you held it in your hand, your footsteps in-game would be completely silent, allowing you to hold it, sneak up on an opponent, and get an easy kill. Well, that's until people did eventually realize what was going on after checking the replays. From that, a few people tweeted, it went viral, and then Epic Games did eventually patch it. Just like they did with another sneaky advantage, this time involving a glider. The Dragacone glider was one of the first where you could actually stand on it, so not only did you have much more visibility than the standard gliders you would hang on to, but you'd also have a secret advantage when you do decide to deploy your glider. When deployed, it basically allowed players to spin and like sort of twist mid-air. It was like a super fast animation, and every glider before that seen nothing like this, which pros, noticing this, decided to spam it over and over, making them incredibly difficult to hit when they were rotating. So as you'd expect, with how broken that was, it obviously did gain a lot of popularity, causing Epic Games to notice and then patch it, which the patch was a simple change with the animation. It definitely wasn't as good or as quick as it once was before. Another thing you'd see a lot of the best players used back then was simple but effective, and that was crouch spamming. When compared to just normally crouching, this was obviously a lot quicker. It was really effective because not only could it keep your aim pretty stable, meaning you had far less bloom, but at the same time it would make yourself a much harder target. I know Mongrel was popular for doing this, along with the likes of Metro and then even Tfue too. You'd most commonly see this happen during spawn fights where both players have picked up a weapon and they're literally just having a duel. Back then, the action itself even had some pro players being accused of macroing. It was like that crazy from what I remember. What we'll never forget though is finally the legacy aim assist feature that allowed controller players to spam L2 repeatedly to eliminate them. The aim assist was so strong back then, it made it nearly impossible for mouse and keyboard players to compete in close range gunfights, as the aim assist practically did all the work for them. The craziest moments I remember was when people would do it inside bushes and it would just shred the health. Epic Games did eventually listen to the community feedback and they added a more balanced aim assist system, but for a while there's no denying that that was one of the most overpowered features the game has ever seen. If you enjoyed, feel free to drop a like and subscribe for more, and before you go, check out any of my other videos on screen right now.